Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Scope. And now, here are your hosts, Jared, Adam, and Shane.
Hey everybody, episode 210, Jared. Getting my derriere adjusted here.
I like it. Add into the numbers.
We just keep going up and up and up. Yeah, Adam was just exciting me with the marriage proposal of the Macho Man to Miss Elizabeth. Oh, yeah.
We didn't even talk about the Macho Men we saw at Convergence last week.
There were two Macho Men. There was one guy running around with early Macho Man outfit. And another with a mini Macho Man.
Oh, yeah. Macho Boy. It was
Macho
2.5 Macho Man.
It was his daughter dressed up. Oh, yeah.
Is this in response to him dying?
I don't know,
Years
but
ago?
Macho Man was popular. I loved it.
Along with a million war boys from Fury Road.
If you love War Boys, go to Convergence.
Hey.
If you love Star Wars, Star Wars being the most popular thing on the planet,
Next year, Shane.
nothing this year.
Barely
Hardly anything.
Some classic stuff as always, but
Jake Lloyd was there.
Jake Lloyd
As
just
himself.
bringing
It's
it
weird.
every time. I love this guy. He
Daft
commits.
Punk speeder bike guy.
Yep.
He was on our Star Wars panel. Anyway,
Anyway,
what's
guys,
on tap, Shane?
we got a great show. Jared suggested this.
Yeah, what's that?
It
I
is-
suggested this because I wasn't going to be prepared for the segment you suggested,
so
which we'll do at a later time.
We'll do that at a later time. This one I think is more relevant to the time period. Of course, we're talking about the summer. We're in it.
Maxing and relaxing.
It's almost over, actually. We're getting very close to being over. But in this case, a lot of really interesting summer TV programs have premiered or have come back. And we thought we'd take a few minutes to talk about those, Adam.
All right.
And I'm watching more new summer TV than normal, so I will have...
Why is that?
It's a
What's
good
happened?
question, just because I think that there's surprisingly well-reviewed shows that I did not want to miss out on.
How do you make time to watch TV in the
It's
summer?
a great question. I don't know.
Huh.
I'm still only 2 episodes into Daredevil. It's disgusting.
Okay.
You need to make time for that one.
We go, FYI,
Maybe just in time for season 2.
FYI, Jared.
Yeah.
Last night, I broke out my Lost Complete Series Blu-ray.
For what?
Carrie wanted to watch the first episode of Lost, so we watched it.
So you
Strong premiere.
went back to watch Lost episode 1 rather than fire up some Daredevil.
Well, Audrey was awake,
Okay.
so we could not watch Daredevil with Audrey.
Why didn't you go to bed? She's still here.
She's still here. She has not left after 3 weeks. And Adam, by the way, you are absolutely correct.
I know.
Lost is the pilot is still one of the best pilots. It was interesting because Audrey was asking us a million questions, like what's that thing in the forest? And like, we know what that thing in the forest. She would get angry at us that we would not tell her everything. Is that person going to die? Well, honey,
It's
you've
the sort
got
of thing
you've got
that it-
almost 100 hours to find that story
Yeah,
out.
don't ruin it.
Well, they're already dead.
Or are they?
We don't know.
Also,
Were they ever truly alive? That's the question.
How would you actually answer the smoke monster question in any sort of like
Well, they-
acceptable format?
In the first episode, it's not even that. It's just
shaking. Yeah,
it's
you're
just
right.
shaking. So I remember very, very clearly back in, when did that come out? Like 2004.
Yeah, right around there.
That, I mean, that was water cooler talk. Like,
Oh, yeah.
What was that? Was that, and then you had the polar bear. But I mean, people were wondering, is there a dinosaur?
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you why there's a polar bear, but there is an explanation. But
Is there?
There is.
yes, there absolutely is an answer why
Here's-
there is a polar bear. there.
Here's my
Guys, welcome to the Lost podcast.
Here's
Yeah,
my
after
my
Lost.
question.
After Lost.
Lost
Lost
again.
again.
It was water cooler conversation for us.
Re-Lost.
Probably also for the producers of Lost. They're like, hey, what do you think that monster in the forest was?
I don't know. We'll figure it out eventually.
All right.
I
That
thi-
was a reenactment of
I think in some cases, but
J.J. Abrams and Damon Lindelof.
they knew what that monster was.
Uh-huh.
I believe it. Anyway,
You want
Lost
to believe.
Lost was not a summer show, but there are a lot of other great summer shows that we're going to cover, and maybe some summer shows that are crap.
Maybe.
We'll find out. So, guys, we're keeping it tight today. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with Jared, Adam, and Shane. That's me with more Scope 210.
This is The Funk.
Singing Jimmy Buffett at the top of my lungs. Don't care who's annoyed as long as I'm having fun. 'Cause I'm a douche in flip-flops. Talk
chocolate pepper, cherry, vanilla, chocolate pepper, diet vanilla, fusion pepper too. Hacking pepper, fracking pepper, the kind of pepper and pepper spray pepper. Wouldn't you like a can of chemical stew?
You can't get a human on the phone. No, you can't get a human on the phone. Just some robot voice, cold as stone. Get you playing games with your touch tone. Can't get a human on the phone. No, no.
That's the Funny Music Project at thefump.com. THEFUMP.com.
Chocolate chip ice cream. Oh, gotcha. He says, I'm sorry, we don't have any mint chocolate chip ice cream. So I ate that bitch. I'm a motherfucking T-Rex.
Hey everybody, we're back. Episode 210. It's summer TV show talk time.
Indeed.
With Jared, Adam, and Shane, your 3 Scope hosts for this episode 210. Let's just listen to this great music.
No, let's not.
Jared's,
Let's talk over it.
Jared's jamming out on his guitar.
Oh, hi.
We've been using that music for like 10 years.
Maybe
That's from the GarageBand library.
Maybe it's time for a refresh.
Maybe. We always talk about that and it never happens.
We're
At some point, I need to dig into that vault of Tony recordings that we did before he left town.
That's loud.
We've got a lot of stuff. Guys, it's summer TV. Let's just go around. I'll name a show. If you're watching it, talk about it. If you're not, we're in trouble. And if you got shows that I don't mention, please feel free. The first show I want to talk about is a bit of a controversial show.
Haven't heard of it.
That's it. That's what it's called. A bit of controversial show. It is the second season of True Detective. Now, as you recall, last summer, True Detective took the world by storm. Surprised a lot
Was it summer or spring? It was like
spring?
February, I think it was on.
Was it?
Yeah.
So it's a little more than a year old.
Yep.
The show was produced by Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson. It was written by Nick how do you pronounce his name? Is it
Sanchezos.
Pizzolatto?
I have no idea. Pizzolatto sounds about right.
Pizzolatto, and then
Jordan Catalano.
And it was the whole all 8 episodes or 10 episodes of it were directed by Cary Fukunaga, who really brought a consistent vision to what it was. I mean, it was almost like a big 8-hour movie. Critics loved it up until award time, where it sort of was overshadowed by a few other TV shows. Although I feel like True Detective was my favorite show of 2014. I really liked it.
I liked Fargo quite a bit too.
Yeah, Fargo's right there.
Yeah.
But people a bit turned off maybe by the not so unusual ending to the show, where it ended up being a bit more.
You're gonna damn the whole show because the ending didn't deliver 100% how you want.
I love the ending.
I think people are crazy. I think it was consistent.
That
and
was
I loved
a show
it all the way
about
through.
those 2 guys. That was not a show about the weird thing happening that they were trying to solve.
It was the journey.
Agreed.
Like Lost.
Agreed.
The Lost Cause podcast.
So let's
Coming
contrast.
soon.
Let's contrast that largely successful first season with what's going on in season 2.
So season 2 stars a much bigger cast. One of the bigger issues of the first season was the lack of women characters. So Nick brought in Colin Farrell, Taylor Kitsch, Vince Vaughn, but also a starring turn with Rachel McAdams. And this does not take place in the Bayou or wherever it was last time. This takes place in California, Southern California, in the
SoCal.
In the
OC.
Los Angeles area.
Yep.
And
fictional suburb of Vinci.
It's a corrupt place. Vince Vaughn is maybe the guy where everything sort of happens around him. He is a corrupt crime guy who is in a little deep. He runs a casino, and he's also involved in
real estate development.
And the deal falls flat because the guy that had his money for the deal is killed. So then you've got a number mysteriously. So you've got a number of cops who, through the weird circumstances, are involved in taking on this case. You've got Colin Farrell as a Vinci Police Department detective. Vinci, sorry. You've got Taylor Kitsch as
he's California Highway Patrol,
who discovered the dead body, so he gets brought in to also be on the case. And then you've got Rachel McAdams as a Ventura County Sheriff's Office CID, which I don't know what that is, but she's another cop who's in on it.
So I'm trying to remember how they're all connected. Wasn't the body of the guy found in her jurisdiction.
Okay.
By Taylor Kitsch, but Colin Farrell's brought in because he is a suspect in something there in a case, a person of interest in a case that he's working on in Vinci. So that's kind of how they're all connected. I think. So they're all sort of working this case sort of together, sort of not.
Yeah.
You've got their own angles.
You've got people in the corrupt town who don't necessarily want the case to be solved. You've got Taylor's character, who is named Paul, who is hoping to use this case to get him back on highway patrol duty.
He's sort of secretly investigating the Vinci police as well, because of their corruptness.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
in this.
It's layers.
The first season of True Detective was complicated, but not so much in this way. I mean, it was complicated because the plot was layered, but there weren't really a lot of main characters. You had you had two men trying to solve this crime. And this one, you've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. It takes place
over a couple different time periods.
Yep. Yeah. This one is a little bit more straightforward crime. It's a slow burn by every definition of the phrase. We're only a few episodes in, so
I watched the third one this morning.
Oh, you did?
I did.
And is it still more of the same, Jared?
To me, it kind of is.
Okay.
I don't know.
So in my house, my wife has actually gone on record to say she's not really that interested in the show.
She's done,
and she could get away with not watching it. I'm willing to give this show a chance. That's sort of how I look at it.
Did she like season 1?
She loved it.
Okay,
absolutely loved it. But I feel like season 1 has earned enough for me that I will ride this one through and see where it goes.
Sure,
Jared, your take.
I am not in love with season 2.
Okay,
I think I've read some opinions that the show is very aware of itself, and I get that same feeling. Like, it knows that it's supposed to be very stylistic, very dark, have a lot of things that are unexplained, and it sort of does too much of that.
Particular type of language as well.
Yeah, I find myself being bored by it, and I find my brain sort of wanders to the phone. Maybe I'm checking Twitter while things are going on, so maybe I miss details. I hate the opening theme song.
I don't like it either.
Apparently, and I didn't notice this until somebody pointed it out, they're changing the lyrics every episode to sort of reflect where the story is going and where it's been. It's an interesting twist. It's too bad that the music is just...
Too bad I fast forward past it.
I don't like it, so yeah, I skip past it. Motion graphics are interesting.
Yeah.
I like that, but the song itself, I just can't get around. And it's different than the first season.
One thing that's interesting is, before the season started, the early reviews were not promising.
Yes.
But those were for the first 3 episodes. That's
which is what we've seen.
Right. That's all that critics were able to screen.
Although we've probably had a couple more under the belt now that by the time this episode's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still only 8 episodes this year, right?
It's a shorter season. Yeah. I believe you're correct.
So
are you watching this, Adam, as well?
Last year I just waited to binge it, and I'll do the same thing.
Gotcha.
With this. I mean, I will say, last season was very good, but it also had like set piece moments, or like, not each episode necessarily had a big thing, but there were things to hook you.
I think we're still waiting for the season 4 tracking shot at the
season 1
housing progress.
Shot.
Right.
Yes.
Episode 4. Sorry.
Episode 4.
That big scene, by the time once you hit that and you're like, we're seeing something special.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
That was
whether or not
great.
this season is going to have a similar moment. I think there might have been a couple already that maybe were trying to be like that.
The chase through the homeless camp.
Yeah.
Through the streets, which was interesting, but wasn't quite the same. Yeah.
The other thing that season 1 had is there is a scene of passion, let's say, that is probably one of the hottest I've ever seen in a show before. I know. And I don't see how, based on what I know about the show so far.
Yeah, I think
that doesn't seem plausible.
I think that that True Detective could be, in the throes of the sophomore slump, but I think that the talent behind the show, maybe season 3 ends up being great, or maybe it's taken them time to figure out where they need to go for season 2.
And this season could potentially resolve itself into something fantastic.
Yeah,
it's good taking its time to get there. They did some interesting stuff in episode 3 where they sort of set up scenes in a certain way where you think you're seeing one thing, and then as the scene evolves, it's something else. Yeah. There's the scene in the fertility clinic or whatever.
Sure.
Is comes to mind, but there are a couple other ones too where it's like, okay, you're doing something interesting there.
Yeah, they definitely are dealing with issues of masculine and feminine roles.
Yes.
Which they didn't really do that in season 1. It was nothing about that. So that might be a direct, a direct result of some of the crap that Nick got out of not featuring women. So that there's interesting things there. It's just very, very slow burn at this point.
I think you're going to get more out of the show if you're looking for thematic content more than actual straightforward plot.
Yeah.
Because that and season was the same way. It's very,
but they did it in a very compelling way. That's the difference.
Yeah, and it's not they're not
difference.
quite delivering it yet in season 2. But I think definitely if you're just looking at the plot itself, it's like okay, it's another murder investigation.
Yeah.
How exciting is it? But if you look at more of the themes that they're going for, and some of the ideas they're talking about, it's a little bit more compelling. Though just not the execution isn't quite there yet.
Sure, Adam, give me a show that you're paying attention to this summer that you have to talk about. Good or bad?
I really like Another Period.
What is that?
This is a Comedy Central show. It is a spoof on Downtown Abbey, starring Ricky Lindholm and Natasha Leggero. But
People
also
like
a bunch of other, like Michael Ian Black, Christina Hendricks, David Wayne, John Daly, Tom Lennon. They're all in it. There's been 2 episodes so far. Well, when we were recording this, but be 5 by then. I like it a lot. I was talking with Molly, friend of the show. She loves it. I asked her, I said, I don't watch Downton Abbey, so I was like, maybe it's like funnier if you actually do. And she does. And she was like, I don't think you're missing anything by not.
You get the idea.
Yeah. It's just goofy. And like the very first episode, the hero / villain of the plot of the first episode is Helen Keller. Just to give you kind of like an idea of
a stealthy, quiet ninja.
You tend to watch a lot more Comedy Central than we do.
Yes. In fact, looking at my list, 80% of mine are Comedy Central items.
Wow.
Strange. You love a good laugh.
Yep.
Jared, what show do you have to talk about?
Do we want to go to the big one first, or do you want to save that one?
Well, let's save it because I think that's going to be the most interesting thing. Do you have anything else, or do you want me to?
I will mention briefly just my thoughts on the whole HBO Sunday in general, because it's sort of I talked to you about this. It's sort of almost a letdown because we went from Game of Thrones and Silicon Valley both ending, and now we're watching True Detective. And maybe we're watching Ballers and The Brink.
I'm not even watching those. Yeah.
I'm watching them. They're okay. Ballers obviously is doing well enough to get picked up for a second season already, and it's that one for me relies completely on the charm of Dwayne Johnson. The rest of the show is fine, but it's forgettable. But I do enjoy a good Dwayne Johnson.
Is Ballers based on someone like an IRL story, like what's it called? Is
not that I know about.
Okay.
But it's very entourage-y in some of the things it depicts.
The vibe
so
that I got.
If you hated Entourage, and I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it all the time either. But if you hated Entourage, Ballers is not for you. The Brink is sometimes I love it and sometimes I hate it. It's this satire about being on the brink of war. Pakistan and India and the U.S. are all involved.
Oh, that's the Jack Black.
Yeah, it's got Jack Black, Tim Robbins, it's got a great cast. Asif Manvi. A bunch of other faces you've seen in other things. What I'm saying is it's got a bunch of actors who have been working.
Yeah.
And I love some moments, and other times I think the humor really falls flat. So I don't know. I'm only 2 episodes in though, so we'll see. The other show I will talk about that I'm really enjoying that's in season 2 now is AMC's *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Yeah, that's a show I did not watch initially, but seems like there might be something I would like given its time period.
I like the characters. I think they're fun, and
tell the people what the show's about real fast.
The season 1 of the show was sort of about this team at this Texas computer company called Giant Computers, and they're trying to build a computer that has an OS that's a little more intuitive and a little smarter, sort of on the lines of the Macintosh. And sort of the trials and tribulations of these characters as they go through this process. And the season ended with them being at Comdex and with them getting a sneak peek at the Macintosh 1984, and then basically realizing, well, they've got us beat in that department. So season 2 goes ahead a year and a half, 2 years, whatever. Giant Computer has basically been bought out, sold off. A bunch of people made money on it, including some of our cast. But one of the characters has gone off to start a new company called Mutiny, and it's all online gaming. Very early stuff. You know, they talk about CompuServe and some other services, but it's sort of, to me, I view the show as sort of like alternate history because they're sort of talking about and doing stuff that is more advanced than they should be for that time period. But they're sort of, you know, talking about sort of doing things that we already know have happened in gaming. They're talking about trying to do one of the first like 3-dimensional online games, like a Wolfenstein type thing. Way too advanced for 1985 when this takes place, but it's fun that they're talking about it.
Yeah.
And you see all this, you know, you see all these IBM XT computers that they're using for servers, and most of the stuff is run on Commodores, and there's dial-up modems, and it's just, for me, it's sort of fun to see them playing in that time period.
Sure.
I enjoy it.
Well, speaking of
Catch Fire.
Speaking of time periods, I'm going to talk about a show on CNN that I've been watching. It's a follow-up to last year's documentary about the 60s. It was like a 5-part, maybe more than that, but each episode was an hour, and they would take a look at a specific either event of the 60s or, you know, just a general trend, and then they would cover it. It's produced by Tom Hanks and Playtone. They have a follow-up this year. It's the 70s, so it's, you know, they'll have an episode about the TV of the 70s, Richard Nixon, Watergate, stuff like that. Very, very well done. Gets really good ratings for CNN. So I'm quite confident they'll be in 80s next year. So if you think of like how VH1 did, I love the 70s, I love the 80s. It's like that, but actually very intellectual. They're not goofing on stuff, and it's definitely more like a newsroom documentary style. So this is on all the time. You can watch one part, you can watch none, you can watch them all.
It's not serialized.
Yeah, it's all going to be interesting together or on its own.
Okay. It's interesting. Like this previously would have been a space held by the History Channel, but now that they mostly focus on aliens and Bigfoot and stuff
and pawning things,
right? Yeah.
Well, speaking of networks that are doing weird things, I've probably watched this network more this season than I have in the last 20 years, and it's the Lifetime Network. They have earlier in the summer they did the Lifetime movie with Kristen Wiig and Will Ferrell.
Jeffrey, did you actually watch
which
this?
we watched it?
A Dangerous Adoption, I think it was called.
And it was a Lifetime movie with those two. So you're sort of waiting for the joke to drop, and it's not. It's just it looks.
And I believe that's the point.
Yeah, it looks like Will Ferrell. I mean, Kristen Wiig pretty much looks like what she does. She's beautiful, but Will Ferrell looks like a character that you might find in an Office sketch in SNL, and it's just them doing the whole thing. So we watched that. Hoarders is now a Lifetime show, I think. So Hoarders is back, and we've been watching that, which is I can pop in and out of that. It's kind of an interesting show.
Can't watch that show.
But they've also, I know it's rough. Yeah. But they've also got a new scripted show on there called Unreal. And what this show is it's a drama that is the behind the scenes of a Bachelor-like show. The show is called Everlasting, and it tells the story of a producer on the show Everlasting and how they are manipulating, you know, the Bachelorettes and the Bachelor behind the scenes. So it's almost like you're seeing the Bachelor from the other side. Now, the show is created by someone that worked on The Bachelor. So there's a lot of stuff on here that, you know, I'm not a Bachelor fan, but a lot of stuff that's ripped right out of reality. And it just goes to show you how, number one, insane The Bachelor is, and how, you know, right off camera, there could be 100 people standing around directing these bachelorettes to do certain things or try to get them riled up or try to get footage. And the show, like I said, tells the story of Rachel Goldberg. She is a producer on the show who's got her own demons, and it's just the drama behind the scenes and the drama of their lives. And I read about it on Reality Blurred, which is the best website for any sort of reality TV, and he's like, you should watch this show. It's really good. And the critics agree. So Unreal is the name of it. You can check that out on demand or something like that. It's very, very over the top, but it's like soap opera to the max, and both Carrie and I are really enjoying this show. Adam, do you have any other shows before we get to the big dog?
Sure. There are two.
Yep. Comedy Central, I'm sure.
No, one is Stars.
Stars.
It's Blunt Talk. This is
a marijuana show?
Seth MacFarlane produced this. Jonathan Ames created it. Bored to Death, if you've ever watched that on HBO. It stars
Season 1 I did.
Patrick Stewart. He's a British
yes.
British newscaster that moves to L.A. with his alcoholic manservant and the baggage of several failed marriages to host a sanctimonious talk show.
I forgot that was starting. How many episodes are we in?
It hasn't started yet.
Oh.
It starts July 31st, I think.
Okay, I need to put that on my list because I am a Star subscriber, so I will watch that.
P.S. Did you see the Ash Evil Dead Stars trailer?
Did I? Yes.
Looks pretty good, right?
Excited
Looks pretty
for that.
good. Adam, keep
It
going.
looks great.
The other one is the return of Review. Review was a summer show on Comedy Central last year starring Andy Daly. And the premise was he will review anything that anyone asks him to do. So people will be like, hey, what's it like to break the world record of eating pancakes? And his character, Forrest McNeil, would go and eat all the pancakes he could and hate it. It starts so strong. The very first episode, someone asks him what it's like to be addicted to cocaine, and he goes and gets addicted to cocaine. And the other...
Andy Daly's insane.
Yes,
I love him.
Yes. And the other thing they ask him to do is what is it like to be racist? So he goes and he has like a black neighbor and he says something inappropriate. And so it's funny because after each segment, he'll be like, getting addicted to cocaine, 1 star. Like he has like a rating system.
Gotta give it a score.
And like halfway through the season, like it's you don't know it's serialized, but it is. And halfway through the season, the question is, what's it like to get divorced? And he can't tell his wife, but he gets a divorce from her. And it's about like his life keeps falling apart as people ask him to do worse and worse things until the very end of it. Something happens where he tries to come back from it. So we don't know what happens. And then, season 2 starts at the end of July also.
Interesting.
I love Andy Daly. He's one of my favorite like character comics. So I'm really excited for that show. I really like season 1.
Excellent. Anything else?
Nah, that's about it.
That's it. So
real quick, are you have you watched any of Falling Skies final season?
Oh yeah, I've watched the first episode, and
I have not watched anything.
That's a show. That's a show that I really wanted to come to some sort of great conclusion, and I think that it's probably going to follow in the footsteps of what it was last season, which was not great. So
I will watch it.
Yeah.
I'll get to it
as
eventually.
a completist. That's
I mean, it's the last season, so we just got to see how it ends at this point.
Hopefully, they can pull it together, but I don't know. It's a great premise, but executed poorly as it went on.
Yeah.
So the last show we want to talk about, Jared and I are super high on this show. I first saw...
It's called Blunt Talk on Star.
I first saw this show or advertisement for the show while we were waiting for a movie to start a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a USA show. This is actually intriguing. Like I might give this a chance. It wasn't like The Last Ship or some stupid thing like that. Like this had its own look and feel. It had a concept that was intriguing, but then I sort of pushed it off the side of my head. And then the week before it came out, the reviews started hitting, and it was over the top good with everything. So what I'm talking about is the latest series on USA called Mr. Robot, the unfortunately named Mr. Robot. It stars a couple people most people you would not recognize, but it's sort of a comeback vehicle for Christian Slater. But the main star is a guy by the name, is it Rami Malek?
Yeah.
And that's really about the only people you are going to know. And it tells a story of a guy named Elliot, who is a young cybersecurity engineer living in New York who assumes the role of a vigilante hacker by night. So he's this very weird guy. No social skills. He might be in the autism spectrum. He's a junkie.
He's definitely on the autism spectrum.
He has a very weird way of presenting himself. He sort of ends up bumping into this mysterious group of hackers. They're in this group called F Society, and the main hacker is Christian Slater. He goes by the name of Mr. Robot. You only know that because he's got a work jacket on that has Mr. Robot. And
then eventually our lead character starts referring to him in his inner monologue as Mr. Robot. So,
okay. Yeah. So, and then he's also tied, since he's a cybersecurity engineer, he's tied into the biggest, most evil company called E Corp, which in the whole show has an inner monologue. So he calls them Evil Corp, and then everybody else calls it Evil Corp because that's how he's remembering it.
Yeah.
And so the question is he going to get involved with this F Society? Is he going to work with Christian Slater and his ragtag group of hackers, or is it all in his head? Is this Evil Corp? Are they really that bad? Is he crazy? And it just takes us to all sorts of weird different places that at the same time, we've seen it done a million times. There's been a million hacker shows that don't work because the technology that they're showing, the stuff that they're doing seems fake and not real. This seems a lot more realistic in how they handle stuff.
I mean, Scorpion is super realistic. Other than that, though,
and the main guy, this Rami Malek, is a firecracker. I mean, he is the most fascinating, intriguing guy on TV. He does not look like a star, but yet he does, and just everything that he does is on point. I mean, you watch it because he is electric.
Yeah, he gets into these moments, these sort of fantasy moments where he's like addressing concerns or answering questions, and is just like completely becomes this different version of himself that's like fiery and has great rhetoric and all that other stuff. And then it'll cut back and it's like that was all in his head, and he's just sort of like a wall. You can't get anything off of him.
He looks like he has belly fat underneath his eyes. That's the only way. He's got a line under his eyes that is just like, how would you even cast a guy like this?
Yeah.
It's just a really, really fascinating show, Adam. If you're not watching it, you should watch it because you'll be hooked on that first episode.
He's been in nothing.
He was in the Pacific, and he played a bad guy in something else that I can't remember. The only thing.
He was okay. I remember him from the Pacific. Okay, yeah.
The only other thing I would say about this show is that I kind of feel like it doesn't need Christian Slater. He's too well known, and it would be, he's got his very Christian Slater.
Yeah,
he's like if you think of Christian Slater from Heathers, you think of him from Pump Up the Jam. You mix those characters together.
Pump Up the Volume.
Pump Up the Volume. I'm sorry, that's the character.
Yes.
And he's got his sort of
a little more subtle, but
he's got that swagger, that Jack Nicholson
that
swagger.
Confidence is there.
I would have been perfectly happy for them to cast an unknown for this.
Sure,
somebody who had his own presence that wasn't Christian Slater. That being said, he does fine.
Agreed.
But I think they could have.
I think the show isn't about him,
no,
really, even though it's titled Mr. Robot.
He's there in little fits and spurts. So
yes,
Mr. Robot is by far the show of the summer that people should be watching.
I am loving it. I just watched the 3rd episode yesterday. This show is so cinematic in how it's
it's like a movie. Shot. Everything is different.
The music is thematic and phenomenal. It's like different. So the main characters each kind of have their own style of music that accompanies them. The way it's shot, it just has me utterly fascinated because some of the way they're framing things is so unexpected, and I'm not 100% sure what they're going for, but there's a lot of like faces like in the corners of frames, or you'll have like people just on the edges talking to someone else, or you'll have a conversation where you typically, have a shot reverse shot where how you normally would have someone, on the third, eyes on the third, looking into the frame. So you got a lot of space over here. They'll do it the opposite. They'll have it like you'll be looking out of frame and you'll be almost at the edge of the frame, and it's so disconcerting. And I'm sure that they're intentionally trying to build tension. It's fascinating to me.
So the guy that directed the first episode was also the director of the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So it has a lot of those similar thematic stuff.
Yeah.
I was pointing out to Jared that the main character, his music is very digital and it sounds like music out of Tron. But then when they deal with like the elites, the 1% of the 1%, the super rich, like they get orchestral scores. They'll get stringed instruments. So there's a lot of very specific and thoughtful choices in this show.
Have you watched the 3rd episode yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, are you in for a ride with our new interim CTO guy?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm very.
This show is not a show for kids.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Adam, give it a chance.
I just from the way the opening credits are staged, I mean, it looks like very like almost 1970s.
Yeah, like a Kubrick type of film.
Yeah,
how the credits pop on.
Exactly, it's very Kubrickian. Some of the shots are just like a lot of center composition. That's a very
watch it, Adam.
Great show.
So yeah, summer TV shaping up to be the summer season that allows me to skip Daredevil again because I was going to watch Daredevil during the summer. So we got to put this stuff together. So there you go, guys. Summer TV in review.
Mr. Robot.
A lot of good stuff, Mr. Robot. Check it out. We'll be back with more Scope right after this.
We now return to the Scope. Just for the hell of it.
Under the Scope.
Alrighty, guys. Under the Scope is here with Coming Soon. Adam?
Yeah.
Please tell us.
All right.
Pop culture the next week.
Music.
Go.
We've got a new album from Natalie Imbruglia.
Torn.
It's just Torn 2 on it.
Yep. Torn again.
Is Timberlake involved this time?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
We've got an album from Omar Soliman. And I'm not kidding. His name is spelled S-O-U-L-E-Y man. Soul E-Man. It's like Soul Man.
Okay.
He's taking pills that make his complexion darker.
Great.
Clever.
Finger 11
Heard of
is the
them?
name of a band. Cataclysm spelled wrong.
Finger 11 was one of those like 90s new metal band. Wasn't?
I think you're right.
Yeah, like they're
Maybe 2000s. Who knows?
Tamar Braxton.
it's all the same.
Tamar
the same.
Braxton.
Judgmental. Keep going.
Teenage Time Killers.
Oh,
Greatest Hits. Never heard of them. They have a Greatest
Well,
Hits
maybe
album.
that's a joke, Adam.
Oh, okay.
The joke's been done a few
and
times.
Frank Ocean had an album scheduled for July.
Yeah,
No release date.
Pulled off.
he was like the biggest thing for a couple months there,
Yeah.
wasn't he? And then I think people were more excited just because he was admitted that he was bisexual or whatever. And like, oh, that's exciting.
So I liked some of that album.
I
Orange.
listened to it. And I'm like, it's not for me. I appreciate the artistry. It's just not my kind of music.
It's no Mr. Robot.
It's not.
Movies. We have one movie to talk about. Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. Now, I will say the last Mission Impossible movie was great.
Never saw it.
Ghost
Is-
Protocol? Yeah,
yes.
good stuff.
Really, really good.
Should see it.
You
Brad
should
Bird.
see it.
Should see it.
I would like
so
to.
much running by Tom Cruise.
Well, let's. Yeah,
And it seems to be a lot more action and adventure in this one.
the
so
way he
much
focused
running.
on the center tooth was amazing.
Movies coming to the home video.
Yes.
We've got the movie Home, which was DreamWorks movie from earlier this year. Maybe
Audrey, did you see Home?
So nothing yet.
didn't seem too excited about it.
Yeah, Tom Cruise. What does Tom Cruise think about Home?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's interested.
Audrey said it was good.
Audrey said,
46% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Great. I love answering those.
dude, you need to be on this. We've been having Tom Cruise since.
I know.
Go ahead. What next?
We've got Justice League cartoon, Gods and Monsters. This is, I don't know if this is based on anything, but the premise sounded intriguing. It's an alt universe Justice League. Chris Kent is Superman. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Whoa.
Who played Nightwing and Superboy, maybe? I don't know.
Sure, why not?
And Kirk Langstrom, Man-Bat,
Yeah.
is Batman in this alt universe.
Okay.
Have you played any of Arkham Knight yet?
I just got to the Man-Bat stuff
You've
right
met
now.
Man-Bat.
I've met Man-Bat. It's creepy.
Yeah. And The Water Diviner, which is Russell Crowe's directorial debut.
Oh, how exciting is that?
Yes.
We had passes. To
Tom
see that.
Cruise, what did
Didn't
you think of
bother
The
to go.
Water Diviner?
Okay, maybe change things.
Oh, every step has been a life-changing moment for
Whoa.
me.
Well, it's always about Tom Cruise.
So again, it's not like anything else.
It's not like anything else. The Water Diviner.
Video games.
I think Tom was fooling with us.
It's not. These aren't looking good, guys.
Let's see if Tom likes any of these video games.
Blaze Blue, Chrono Phantasm Extended.
Tom?
Look.
King's Quest, A Night to Remember.
Ooh.
That'll be Kate's decision to see what she wants.
Wow. He's still talking about Kate.
The Swindle, Lost Dimension,
Mm-hmm.
Legend of K HD.
He likes them all.
Okay.
Nothing great.
Hey, Tom, do you want me to introduce one last bit of coming soon?
No, first of all, I never said that.
Oh, well, now you're going to. Because guess what? It's Hit It or Miss It.
Oh, wrong tab.
Do you remember what you're hitting?
Hit or miss it. Hit of the week. Hit it or miss it. Miss of the week. Look out!
Guess what, everybody? It's my turn. Tom, it's my turn for Hit It or Miss It. And just like last week, in which Jared had a hit miss,
Yeah.
I'm going to do the same thing because the verdict is out. It's possible we may see this film, Jared, before it comes out.
Okay.
Of course, I'm talking about the remake. I don't know.
I don't think it's a remake.
It's not a remake. It's not a reboot. It's a continuation of National Lampoon's Vacation, kind of. This stars who? Ed Helms,
Christina
Applegate, Chris Hemsworth,
Chevy Chase,
who played his wife in that?
Beverly D'Angelo,
Beverly D'Angelo. Oddly
Randy
enough,
Quaid.
no Randy Quaid. Oddly enough, we don't see his original son, Randy.
Good. I don't know who that is.
So Anthony Michael Hall, of course.
Oh yeah.
Although they do show up
From European.
Leslie Mann.
Leslie Mann plays the sister of Christina Applegate.
Leslie Mann always
Michael
cast
Pena?
as the sister.
She's always the sister.
Charlie Day,
Yep. So a pretty solid cast here, Jared.
Nick Kroll, Sam Levine.
So this tells a story.
IMDb has all the answers.
This tells the story of Rusty Griswold and how he would like to go on a cross-country trip just like he did when he was younger with his family. And so here we go. No, Leslie Mann is Rusty's sister, I believe. Not the sister of Christine Applegate. I take that back.
Plays Audrey Griswold.
Audrey, yes. So, and my daughter loves Audrey Griswold. I don't know what to think of this movie, Adam, Jared.
Some people love
like some
the
of the
trailer.
trailer stuff is kind of funny, but other parts seems very broad and seems like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, but the original was pretty broad too,
Yeah.
wasn't it? So
It was, but
guess.
it ended up being a cult classic, Jared. A
Okay.
cable TV staple. So I don't know if we're paying for this film, but if we get sneak preview passes, you can bet your sweet bippy that the Scope will review this.
So does John Hughes
Fairly.
have a partial writing credit because he has a partial writing credit on the original one?
Of what?
Of Vacation.
Oh, I didn't know that he had a partial writing credit.
It says
Well,
characters are attributed to John Hughes.
Okay, well, yes, then he does.
Interesting.
John Hughes hugely involved in the original Vacation and Christmas Vacation.
One of the writers wrote Horrible Bosses. I think
People like Horrible Bosses,
the first
right?
Horrible Boss is great. I have no idea about the second one.
it's on cable coming up.
Never seen it.
I'm going to record it.
So there you go, guys. Vacation, hit miss.
Also, the incredible Burt Vanderstone.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Wonderstone. Wonderstone.
Vanderstone.
Under the Scope.
It's Dutch.
Take
Go
us,
either way.
Take us home, Jared.
Take us home, country roads, to that place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Take me home. Country roads.
Wow. Nice.
Little John Denver for you. Folks, this is where I would read your comments or play your comments. But after our break, no comments. So if you have comments that you'd like to send, you can send them to comments@thescopeshow.com. Call our voicemail line at 612-21-SCOPE. That is 612-217-2673. The lovely Tony Partington will greet you, and you can leave your important message about how you've spent your summer. Tell us, are you watching anything good on TV?
Yes.
Let us know. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Tumblr. All those links are on our website at this website.
I love to go to website.
Thescopeshow.com.
It's like Liza Minnelli's in the house.
Website. Website. All right. Or you can you can enjoy the show on YouTube right alongside PewDiePie and Smosh. The Scope Show is the name of the channel on YouTube. Hey, do you like to support the show? Do you want more shows to come out more often?
Yeah.
Well, in order for that to happen, you'd have to support us a lot and make this our day job. But you can support us a little bit because hosting isn't free. Patreon.com/The Scope Show is the place to go. You can support creators directly. You can pledge as little as $1 an episode, set a monthly cap, or cancel anytime. If you get little perks, you can do things like if you pledge $1 an episode, The Scope Show will follow you on Twitter. If you pledge $3 an episode, we're going to mention your name in the episode at the front when we do our supporter segment. So far, we haven't had it. We have one person, and I need to ask him if he wants me to mention his name. $5 or more per episode.
You can mention my name, fine.
We will promote your event or website on the show. And
or if you choose a website.
Website, yes. $10 or more per episode. We will plug your product or service in a more professional manner. Maybe some production will go behind it. I don't know. I'm not expecting anyone to pledge $10 an episode. But if you do choose to do that, we'll put in a little extra effort. That is patreon.com/The Scope Show. Or if you just want to buy some stuff, go to Amazon. Click on our Amazon link at thescopeshow.com/Amazon. A little bit helps to fund the show. Doesn't cost you any more. It's the right thing to do. Turning back to you.
Terrific. Well, Adam, Jared, it has been a pleasure.
Yes.
We get a break next week. We'll be off, but hopefully we'll be back right after that.
Right. So I think this last episode we'll post, either late July, early August?
Yep.
And then you guys will be back from your many, many summer vacations.
Yes, we
and
will
maybe
be.
we'll regroup. Talk again.
Fall TV, guys. Fall
No
movies.
promises.
Star Wars right on the corner. So let's stop stretching it out, Jared. Let's go enjoy the rest of our summer vacation. So for Jared, Adam, I am Shane. This has been The Scope. We'll be back soon with more. Bye for now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. Days shall pass as if they were but a moment, and Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying arrivederci. Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.